Hello, welcome to More Yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me. Not sure why I'm singing. Sometimes that happens. I hope you're feeling well and ready to play a little bit with yoga. That's what we do here. As always, if you have blocks, they're so useful for bringing the floor up to you. Even one block, you don't have to buy two, get them on sale. If you don't have blocks, you could use a book or a tin of tomatoes or chickpeas, whatever you prefer, or even a coffee table. Um, I always practice with props because it's better on my body. Or, not or, also something that you can kneel on that will give you a little bit more padding, a little bit more cushioning. And yeah, so I have a chip foam block. You could use a folded up towel or a blanket or something like that. And enough of that. Let's start lying down. And as always, if lying down is not the best place for you to start, then you are more than welcome to start seated or in child's pose if you prefer. If you're with me on your back, take a little loop of your shoulder blades toward each other, just so your chest and your shoulders can open up a little bit more. And you might have your legs extended or you might have your knees bent, in which case I recommend taking your feet, wider than hip width apart, maybe even mat width apart, so that you can allow your knees to hang in toward each other, and that helps. Just take the muscular activation out of keeping the knees bent. And then for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. And exhale, sigh your breath away. Couple more, just like that. And then continue breathing however you need to, whether it's in and out through your nose or your mouth. Notice how your breath is flowing. If it feels really open and spacious, then acknowledge that for whatever it's worth. Maybe you notice some sticky or choppy spots along the way, in which case you might gently try to lengthen through those parts of the breath just to smooth it out a little bit more. Last few breaths here. And then start to bring a little bit of movement back to your body. Whatever way feels best to wake up. Wiggle with your fingertips or toes, or a little rock of your head from side to side, or maybe a big yawning stretch. And then draw your knees into your chest and take a little rock from side to side. You might have your knees quite close into your chest. You might have them a little bit further away. You might even have them arm's length away, massaging more the pelvis than the base of the, or rather the low back. And then pause back in center here. Reach your legs up to the sky and cross your right thigh over top of the left. So it's not an ankle over thigh, it's thigh over thigh. And then bend your knees. This might be enough for you. You might gently add your hands to your knees, or maybe you start to walk your hands down the legs to the ankles or feet. And then notice right away that right hip likes to lift up. So can you lift it, or sorry, wrap it back down to the floor? And then the more that you're able to draw your shins parallel to the earth and the feet away from each other, the deeper you're going to feel this. So supine Gomukhasana, it's quite a bit more accessible than when we're seated. Last couple breaths. If you want to go full pretzel, you could curl your nose toward your knees. And then gently come back down to the earth. Now keep your legs crossed or your thighs crossed over top of each other and bring your left foot down to the floor. Okay, you with me? So right thigh is crossed over top of left. And then shift your hips right a little bit. As you exhale, lower your knees to the left. So a cross-leg twist. Now this can be kind of deep. I'm even going to bring a block underneath my knee or thigh just to give me a little bit of support here. So I don't have to use any muscular activation to hold the knees up off the floor. Super normal for a shoulder blade as to be lifted as well as the knees. So go wherever you need to go. You might extend your right arm out to the side. So this is going to be a pretty deep twist. Just go gently, right? And as always, moving within a pain-free range of movement. Last breath here. Okay, and on your inhale, unwind back to center. Uncross your legs, shake them out a little bit. And then just pause with maybe your feet on the floor and just notice whatever you might notice from one side to the other. Maybe there's no difference. Maybe there's a big difference. And then flick your eyelids open if you wish, and then reach your legs up to the sky. This time cross your left thigh over top of the right and bend the knees. So different side can be a totally different experience. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you just bring your hands to your knees to draw them toward you. Maybe you walk your hands down the legs to the ankles or feet. And then keep wrapping that outer left hip toward the floor. Super normal for one side to be quite a bit tighter than the other for this, or for them both to be equally heckin' tight. And then again, the further that you're able to pull the feet away from each other and the shins parallel to the earth, the deeper this will get. You might not want to go deeper, and that is fine. And then for the last couple of breaths, if you would like to, you might gently curl your nose toward your knees. Super unlikely that it's going to touch. And I'm not forcing it. All right. Slowly lower down to the earth. Keep your legs crossed. Bring your right foot to the floor. And then maybe you shift your hips left a little bit to start with. Left arm goes out to the side. And then as you exhale, lower your knees to the right. Maybe you prop underneath the knees. Maybe you let gravity kind of do its thing here. For me, this side feels way more open than the other side. So maybe I don't use a prop. Maybe I use it on a different height. Maybe I just use a prop anyway because it feels pretty nice. You could look along your left arm to finish off the spiral in the spine. But this should feel like a pretty deep twist, particularly through the lumbar spine. The crossing of the legs means that that top hip is reaching further across than it normally would, and the bottom hip is more stacked underneath the top hip. So it is a deeper twist. It's not just your experience of it. It is definitely a deeper twist. All right, on your inhale, come back to center, unwind your legs, reset the pelvis and spine, and then again, a couple breaths, just feel what you feel. Notice what you notice. And then maybe you start to rock and roll up and down your spine here, right? We do this almost all the time. Shoulder blades to sit bones, to shoulder blades to sit bones. If that doesn't feel good today for whatever reason, roll to one side, use your hands, press yourself up, and we'll all meet on hands and knees. So taking your time to get set up, fix your clothes if you have to, and then eventually sit up with your knees underneath your hips. Just going to be tucked or untucked, and then hands outer shoulder width apart or wider. So you want the outer edge of your shoulder to line up with the middle of your wrist. And then we'll start to move through cat and cow. So as you inhale, lift your tailbone, hollow through the lower back, broaden through your collarbones. Exhale, round through your spine. Really press the floor away from you. Inhale, dip the belly, and exhale, round. And a few more of these. Keep it really simple. I know I usually say add natural movement if you want to, but keep it just to the basic cat and cow today. Last breath here. All right, and then when you come back to center, pause there. I'm going to turn to face you. All right, and then inhale, dip the belly into cow. So we've got tailbone lifted, right? Shoulder blades wrapping toward each other. And then from here, start to press your ribs out to the right. You're going to feel a little contraction on the left side of the body. Keep that motion as you start to press all the way up to the sky into your cat. And then start to come down as you press the ribs out to the left and then down into your cow. So we're going to keep doing these barrel rolls. Couple more in this first direction. At the top and bottom, hitting your basic cat and cow positions. Okay, and then pause and cow. And then let's switch directions. So then push your ribs out to the left and then up to the sky and then right and then down to center. So a couple more this direction. Maybe one direction felt better than the other. That's kind of normal. Maybe they both feel like delicious little yoga snacks, and that's awesome too. All right, and then pause back in center. Shake out your hands, shake out your wrists. You're gonna do a little bit of single knee balancing stuff. So if you'd like to bring some extra padding underneath your left knee, now is a good time to do so. And then step your right leg back behind you. Little draw of belly button to spine. So option 1 is to stay here with toes on the floor. Option 2 is to reach your leg back behind you, but not so much that the dip comes into the belly or the low back, right? You want to keep your spine neutral as long as you can. Next option is to reach the left arm forward and up. Thumb to the sky, palm to the right. Reach it up and out of your peripheral vision. Now, staying as stable as you can. Exhale. Bring the elbow, knee toward each other, but keep the spine neutral, right? So we're not rounding into cat and cow. And then inhale, lift the leg and arm back up. Now, at any point, you can take it down to just the arm or just the leg moving. But what this does is it helps stabilize your SI joint, your sacroiliac joint, by keeping your spine as still as possible. All right, exhale. Bring that hand down to the floor, little wiggle or shake, and then step your right leg out back behind you again. From here, kickstand your left foot out to the side a little bit. Bring your left hand forward and in. And then as you inhale, we're going to start to open up to the right to a modified side plank. You might reach the top arm up to the sky. You could draw big sweeping shapes. Make sure that bottom shoulder is not jutting forward. Wrap it onto your back. Maybe you de-weight that top leg. If there's a grab of the top foot that feels good for you, feel free to go wherever you would like to go. Right? You could be in stillness here. You could be in movement. And then slowly unwind back to center. Spin that left shin back to neutral. Okay, so the right leg is still extended behind us. Toes on the floor. From here, cross it over to the left. So the right leg is crossed behind the left. We're getting the pattern today. We're doing lots of crossing of legs and the body. Walk your upper body forward and then also over to the left. So your upper body is reaching over to the left. Your right leg is reaching over to the left. Now, right away, you might feel something on the right side of the body. Maybe you stay up high on fingertips. Maybe you come down to your forearms or one of each. But breathe now into any of those spaces on the right side that feel like they can open up just a little bit more. All right, and slowly, as you inhale, come back to center, unwind your legs, shake it out a little bit, cat and cow, or barrel rolls, and then let's switch sides. So again, if you're using padding, bring it underneath your right knee now. And then lots of options along the way. I should have mentioned you could do this on fists or fingertips, and that helps keep the wrists neutral. And then step your left leg back behind you. Option 1 is here. Option 2, de-weight that left leg. Squeeze the bum. Make sure you're not dipping into the low back. So press those low ribs up to the sky. Option 3 is to reach the right arm forward and up, thumb to the sky, palm to the left. Now, often when we start to move here, I teach you to round through the spine and dip, right? Cat and cow with the movement. But today, keep it, again, as stable as you can. As you exhale, bring the elbow and the knee toward each other. And then inhale, lift back up. And there will be a natural tendency to want to round through the spine as you do this. So try to keep it as neutral as long as you can the whole time. And it's a challenge. And it might be more challenging on one side than the other. For me, I've got a weird SI thing on this side. So my body really doesn't want to be stable here. Last breath. Okay, bring your leg down, little wiggle or shake. And then extend that left leg behind you again. From here, kickstand your right foot out to the side. Bring your right hand forward and in, and then inhale, open now to the left. And again, you might stay here in your modified side plank. Could be on fingertips for neutral wrist. You could draw big sweeping shapes with that top arm. You could go into side bends. You could de-weight that top leg, wherever you need to go. Last breath here. And then slowly unwind. Bring both hands back to the floor. Right shin parallel with the long edge of the mat. Keep that left leg behind you. And then cross the left foot over to the right. Okay, so your left leg is over to the right. Walk your upper body forward. And then also over to the right. And again, you might stay up tall here. You might come down to a forearm. But really try to breathe now into the left side of the body in particular, right? Exaggerate the movement, puff up into the ribs with the inhale and lengthen with the exhales. Last couple breaths here. All right, slowly, gently make your way back to hands and knees. Little wiggle or shake or cat and cow. You could stay here moving and grooving if you'd like to. Maybe child's pose feels like a better place for you to go. Or maybe tuck your toes and lift your hips up into downward facing dog. So wherever you need to go for about 5 breaths or so. You could be in movement. You could be in stillness. And then if you're in child's pose, make your way either to downward facing dog or hands and knees. And then bend your knees, look forward. Take as many steps as you need to come into your standing forward fold. This is such a beautiful place to bring blocks underneath your hands, to bring the floor up to you. You could clasp opposite elbows with hands to get more traction through your spine or behind your neck. You could even interlace your hands behind your back. If you'd like even more support today, you could rest your elbows on your knees or thighs. And wherever you are, nod your head yes. Shake your head no. Let your head hang heavy, neck long. And then release your hands, if they're bound, and with fingertips to shins or blocks or the earth, inhale, little part-way lift, belly button to spine. Back the neck stays long. Exhale, let it all go. Couple more, just like that. Inhale, little part-way lift. Exhale, fold. And then bend your knees, tuck your chin in toward your chest slowly. Start to roll up to standing. One vertebra at a time. You can use your hands on your thighs for a bit more support. Till eventually you come all the way up. Couple loops of your shoulders, hop back and down. Little wiggle, noodle, or shake out. All right. Yay, standing. Okay, bring your hands to your hips, bend the knees, take a couple hip circles one direction. And then the other. And just a little release through the twist. All right, and then bring your feet hip width apart. So we talked a little bit about this recently. What does hip width mean? Some people think it means like outer hip width. And this width changes so much from person to person, right? But what I mean by hip width is literally where your femurs naturally hang from the hip socket. So this is going to be a little bit more, not standard, but a little bit more regular from one person to the next. Some people will have narrower hips, some people have wider hips, but I don't mean like outer hip width apart like you would in the gym, right? And then a little pointy on the knees, squeeze the bum. As you inhale, bring your arms forward, and then make sure that you don't start to round through the back or do like this kind of zombie posture. Right? Inhale here. As you exhale, start to reach your right arm behind you. You're going to twist to the right. As soon as we do this, though, that left hip tries to sneak forward. So wrap it back in line. And then inhale back to center. And then exhale, twist the opposite way. Left arm goes back. And then back to center. Inhale here. Exhale to the right. And center. And then left. And center once more each side. And then shake out your arms and your legs. Bring your hands to your pelvis, fingertips pointing down. Little squeeze of the bum, little buoyancy in the knees. Wrap your elbows, your shoulder blades toward each other. Lift the heart up to the sky. And again, this might be enough. Maybe bend your knees a little bit more and press the hips forward to lift the heart up even higher to the sky. Avoid the tendency or the want to lift the chin. You can hear my voice goes super weird here. And it's because as soon as you do that, you lose length through the throat. It feels like you're lifting higher or lifting further back, but you're not. So keep the back of the neck long. And then inhale, come back to center. Shake it out a little bit. And then grab your elbows, pull them forward, round through the spine. You might take a little sway from side to side. And then inhale. Come back up, shake it out a little bit. Hands to hips. I know we're doing some hip circles today. It just feels good, right? And with all that crossbody leg stuff, with all the twisting, it feels nice to just kind of release through the hips. Okay, send your weight to your right leg. Little buoyancy on that supporting knee. Belly button to spine. It's going to get weird with balance. So if you have a wall, you can bring a hand to a wall and then pick up your left leg, cross your left ankle over top of the right thigh. So now we're doing that figure four position, right? Whereas at the start, we were kind of almost, well, not in a crow or eagle, but in a shoelace. Now we're taking ankle to thigh. So sit the hips down and back. Keep this ankle really flexed. So toes peel back toward the shin, belly button to spine, and then send the hips back. Because the more that these hips flex and this knee bends, the more you're going to feel on the outer left hip. You could stay here, or you might start to fold your forearms toward your shins. If there's an arm balance that you know and love here, feel free to go where you'd like to go. Otherwise, stay here with me in the standing hip opener. Shoulder blades on your back. Ah! Okay. And you might fall out. And then let's inhale, stand up, shake out your legs. That's what I get for trying to change my point of focus while balancing. Step your weight to your left foot, a little buoyancy on that knee, and then cross your right ankle over top of the thigh. And then sit your hips down and back, right? So it's like chair pose on one leg. It's a figure four on the other. Again, maybe you stay here, hands in prayer. Maybe you deepen it or take an arm balance. Right, belly bend to spine, shoulder blades on your back. A few more breaths here. One side might be easier on the balance than the other. But again, the more you send your hips back, the more you bend that supporting knee, the more you're going to feel it in that outer right hip. All right, inhale, stand back up, unwind the legs, shake them out a little bit. Yeah, you're going to do more hip circles. Bring those hands to your hips. And another way. That's enough standing. Let's inhale, reach up to the sky. Exhale, melt to the earth, forward fold. And then for 3 breaths, inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, let it go. 2 more. And then bend your knees, plant your hands, come down to hands and knees. Little wiggle or shake or cat and cow. And then either walk your knees back or your hands forward, and then shift your weight into your hands just for a moment as you exhale. Lower down to the earth, onto your belly. A little wiggle of your hips from side to side. Untuck your toes. Press the tops of your feet into the floor, so much so you feel your kneecaps lift away. Send your tailbone to the back wall, belly bend to spine. Shoulder blades on your back. Inhale, lift the heart forward and up. Baby cobra. Exhale, lower back down. So a few more of these. You can pause at the top. You can keep moving up and down. Hands could hover. You might take them out onto the wood. You could press up higher. Really just a few more breaths of playing with the spinal extension. And the next time that you exhale, come all the way down. Maybe bring one cheek to the earth. Deep belly breaths to release through the lower back. And then roll over to your back. Draw your knees into your chest and take a little rock from side to side. Maybe you clasp your hands over top of your shins and deepen this a little bit more. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you exhale, curl your nose toward your knees. Last option is to press the shins up to the sky so you really get lots of flexion through the spine. And then exhale, release it all. If there's anything else you feel like you need before your rest, posture or meditation, please feel free to take it. Otherwise, make your way into your final resting pose, which could be flat on your back, legs bent or straight. You could rest on your side or in child's pose or a seated meditation, right? Really, wherever you want to go. And there's no rush to get there. But once you have found your pose of rest, for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh your breath away. Couple more. And then let go of your breath control. Let go of any last muscle gripping or tension, particularly in the neck or the jaw. With each exhale, let your body melt a little bit deeper into the earth. Take a moment to thank yourself for coming here today, for giving yourself this time to play and to move and breathe, and for your wonderful body for moving and breathing for you. Stay here longer if you can, 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.